But here's the real ditty. This is the one that just gave me butterflies inside. Obama says, one of the dangers of the internet is that people can have entirely different realities. What? They can be cocooned in information that reinforces their current biases. See, don't you see? You can't think for yourself. The internet is an open flow of information that may force you to analyze and critically think. You can't do that. Obama and the news is supposed to do that for you. He goes on, the question has to do with how do we harness this technology in a way that allows a multiplicity of voices, allows a diversity of views, but doesn't lead to a balkanization of society and allows ways of finding common ground. And he goes on to talk about how everyone basically used to get their news from 3 sources and how that was better. It was better when people only got their news from 3 sources. That way everybody knew what was going on and there weren't these different realities now that we have because of the internet and because of Twitter. Well, Trump said we're going to make Christmas great again, and then we did. I think a lot of people had a great Christmas. The economy had a great Christmas. And then in a master troll video, you had Benjamin Netanyahu send out a video. I saw it on Twitter. I'm sure he posted it everywhere, where Benjamin Netanyahu wished us a Merry Christmas from the capital of Israel, Jerusalem, just sticking his finger right in the UN's eye. Again, who is the UN to tell Israel where their capital is? I mean, give me a break. Then you have Israel to name train station near Jerusalem's Western Wall after Trump. So there's just some news there. But in the last segment, you heard us talking about these people on welfare and on food stamps. And there was one clip in there where the guy asked the guy's standing in line to get his food stamps. There's a sign right behind him that says now hiring. So the guy says, well, okay, obviously, you know, you're a little short on money or whatever. You're having some financial hardships. That's why you're coming here to get the welfare, the food stamps. And he's like, yeah. He's like, you know, there's there's the sign right behind him. He's like, yeah, you know, they're hiring right behind you. It's the job center right behind you. Get a job. And they all just line up and they get their food stamps and they go right past the job center and they don't get a job. So it just made me think of something. Here in Austin, Texas, Austin is a expansive city right now. I mean, booming. They can't even keep up. They literally can't even keep up the infrastructure because the population is getting so much more dense. They can't build enough skyscrapers. They can't build enough apartments. And one of the things that comes with that is there's a lot of jobs here. A lot of jobs. And sure, a lot of them are going to be in the service industry, but that's kind of where you have to start sometimes to get a footing in the economy and in the job marketplace. They don't want a job. I'm telling you, it is the craziest thing. Here in Austin, you can go through a shopping center and you'll see 3 or 4 businesses or restaurants or whatever now hiring on the sign. And then you leave the shopping center and there's 5 people begging you for money. And look, I'm from St. Louis where homeless people are actual homeless people. I mean, like they are just, it's bad for them. And you can find that in Austin too. They have a homeless shelter here. But there's homeless people in Austin. They're not even homeless. They just don't want a job. So they get the food stamps, they get the welfare, and then they panhandle on the street, and then they live in an apartment perfectly fine. They're not homeless. They're bums. Bunch of bums, man. I just never understood that lifestyle. But anyway, getting back to some of the news here. Barack Obama has been doing the Trump follow-up tour where Trump goes to India, Obama goes to India. Trump goes to China, Obama goes to China. Trump speaks here, Obama speaks there. He's just following it up, trying to, you know, just get a little shiv right into Trump, whatever he's trying to accomplish. That's how Obama operates because he loves this country so much, he wants to undermine the president. Of course, he already did that by spying on Trump Tower and by making sure the DOJ and the FBI could work behind the scenes to make sure Trump didn't get elected. Yeah, we'll have more on that later. But Barry Obama sat down with Prince Harry, and Prince Harry is the one that's been in the news because he's about to marry some actress from America. I kind of liked Prince Harry when he was kind of the bad boy and went against the establishment. Now I was questioning it, and now he seems to be full-on liberal. And then he does this interview with Barack Obama. Now, we're going to play a couple of these clips, but this is hilarious to me for multiple reasons. One, because you're going to hear what Obama says, and it's going to be very revealing. But two, for the people watching this on the internet, this is like the weirdest setup I've ever seen for an interview. You would think that Prince Harry and former President Barack Obama could get like a nice studio, like a nice podcast studio or something. They're like sitting in some civic center with some like old microphones. It's the weirdest thing. And it's kind of, to me, illustrative. Like, you are the old guard. Look at that. They can't find anything nicer than that? I'm sorry, but that is, they got a printer in the background. I mean, it's just like a whole awkward deal going on. And I don't even care. Again, it's just like, this was symbolic to me. This is the old guard. Nobody cares about these people's opinions anymore. Prince Harry, sweet, man, you're going to get married to an actress. Oh, wow, it's all over the tabloids. Woo! Oh, Obama, he's got to, see, that's how Obama thinks. He's like, oh, Prince Harry, he's been in the news. I gotta get on this podcast. I got to do something to undermine this country. So let's play the first clip. We got two of these clips. Let's play the first when Harry met Barry clip.
Do I have to speak faster? Because I'm slow speaker.
No, not at all.
Okay. But do I need the British accent?
But if you start using long
terrible
pauses
audio
between,
quality,
the answers, you're probably going to get the face.
The whole thing is just awkward.
Oh, okay. I don't want to see that face.
But it's as you know, for 40 minutes there'll be 20 minutes package.
I can't even hear what they're saying.
For after Christmas.
The audio is so pathetic.
And we hope to use the whole thing as a podcast afterwards.
Excellent. Okay.
So
I'm ready when you guys have sound? You guys?
This is so awkward.
We're all good?
Yep, we're sounding
you're excited.
Do you have sound? What's going on? What are we talking about? What?
It's fun. I'll interview you if you want.
No,
Okay.
let's keep it this way. I much prefer that.
Okay, so I don't know when Prince Harry became a journalist, but somehow he lands the interview with Obama. Let's go to, by the way, again, that's their actual audio. I mean, that's the awkwardness of this whole thing. Now let's go to the second clip.
We share the same kind of mindset and the outlook on the charitable sector, on foundations, and mainly on the youth of today. The young people of this world are incredibly inspirational.
Well enough to invite him to your wedding.
Well, I don't know about that. That's we haven't put the invite or the guest list.
That's all we want to care about is the wedding.
Who knows whether he's going to be invited?
It's a royal
or not.
wedding.
I don't want to ruin that surprise.
Stop the presses. It's a royal wedding. All right, so that was actually a second interview. There were two things that Obama said here that I found funny. I'm just going to read them to you directly. This is a quote from Obama from the interview. I still care about making sure the United States and the world is a place where kids get a decent education. What did you do for the inner cities in Chicago and their school system? Where people who are willing to work hard are able to find a job that pays a living wage. Now, that's funny because wages went down and unemployment went up under Obama. So I guess he's just a miserable failure. That we're conserving the amazing resources of our planet, that future generations can enjoy the beauty of this place like we did. That's a strange way of putting we're going to shut down America's energy sector, but okay. But here's the real ditty. This is the one that just gave me butterflies inside. Obama says, one of the dangers of the internet is that people can have entirely different realities. What? They can be cocooned in information that reinforces their current biases. See, don't you see? You can't think for yourself. The internet is an open flow of information that may force you to analyze and critically think. You can't do that. Obama and the news is supposed to do that for you. He goes on, the question has to do with how do we harness this technology in a way that allows a multiplicity of voices, allows a diversity of views, but doesn't lead to a balkanization of society and allows ways of finding common ground. And he goes on to talk about how everyone basically used to get their news from 3 sources and how that was better. It was better when people only got their news from 3 sources. That way everybody knew what was going on and there weren't these different realities now that we have because of the internet and because of Twitter. In fact, guys, look for this. In fact, I just remember, look for the clip of Matt Lauer interviewing George Bush. This is one of the greatest moments in television history where Matt Lauer mentioned something about the internet news, getting Trump elected or whatever. And George Bush was like, yeah, back when there were only 3 news outlets, you were actually relevant. And then you can see the face on Matt Lauer. He wasn't locking anyone in his office at this time, so he was just doing an interview. And you can see his face. He's like, oh, it's like a gut blow. President Bush is laughing. He's like, yeah, you used to be relevant before the internet. Because that's the point. They are irrelevant. They have no relevance. Their only relevance was in their ability to control and manipulate information. So now that the internet has caused them to lose that ability, they tell you you can't think for yourself. It's dangerous to go on the internet and look at InfoWars. You might see something there you don't know about. I'm sorry, when was the last time any of the major news networks covered WikiLeaks? You wouldn't get any of that. That's why the internet is good. Yeah, there's the clip. So it's amazing to me that they are literally freaking out right now. They wanted net neutrality so they could shut down their competition in the information war. They didn't get it. Hillary would have done it. But now Obama's telling you, stay away from the internet. It might be dangerous. It might cause you to think critically, and then you might have a different opinion from that guy. You can't have that.
Someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
We confirm suspicions at Veritas. It's not a shock to you, but to get the employee at YouTube on tape admitting that they do it? I mean, you must be a threat if they call you out by name.
It's also what happens when you listen to the radio host, Alex Jones.
As of just a short time ago, and I'm talking about when this meeting started, on Twitter, if you clicked on the hashtag NYC terrorist attack, which is, quote, trending, marked with a red button saying, quote, live, the top tweet links to an InfoWars story with the headline, Imam, I warned de Blasio about New York City terror. He was too busy bashing Trump.
I don't know what happens in somebody's mind or how dark their heart must be to say things like that.
This is a real-time example of when we talk about this information being weaponized.
But Trump doesn't challenge these lies. He actually went on Jones's show and said,
your reputation's amazing. I will not let you down. You will be very, very impressed, I hope.
He still calls Alex Jones and talks to him, and the InfoWars
conspiracy
theories.
How quickly can you act, and what's your responsibility to set the record straight so that the people who saw this know that it's fake news, and at least at some point in time it can't keep spreading like some sort of virus through the legitimate world.
That's something we're thinking about all the time, because it's a bad user experience, and we don't want to be known as a platform for that.
The Russians ran an extensive information war campaign against my campaign to influence voters in the election. They did it through false news sites. They did it through these 1,000 agents. They did it through machine learning, which kept spewing out this stuff over and over again. And they began to have some of their allies within the internet world, like InfoWars, take out pieces and began to say the most outrageous, outlandish, absurd lies you can imagine.
Google is being accused of hiding negative stories about Hillary and her campaign by changing its algorithm to bury stories like the Clinton body count story. That's according to website InfoWars.
You have RT, you have Sputnik, you have Rupley, and then I think you have them feeding other entities. InfoWars comes to mind, where those are echo chambers.
It's been widely reported that that company's been backed by the Kremlin, and they gave you 75,000 shares that you had to disclose when you went into the Obama administration.
Maybe you're looking at widely reported information from InfoWars.
No, I'm not.
But it is not
No, I'm not.
true.
This is Politico. This is the New York Times. This is the Wall Street Journal.
No, it's
That's
not.
What I'm looking.
If a Google user types in Clinton body, they get car repair shop results instead of a story that talks about a list of people tied to the Clintons who have died under mysterious circumstances over the last 3 decades. Now, the latest story was the death of DNC staffer Seth Rich, who was murdered last month in an apparent robbery. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has hinted that Rich was his source, but has made no further comments about the case. That murder, we should say, remains unsolved.
The Russians, in my opinion, and based on the intel and counter-intel people I've talked to, could not have known how best to weaponize that information unless they had been guided.
All that stuff exists. You don't see it, you don't feel it if you're largely living in reality and in a mainstream media world. But it's undermining our democracy, and I think that the companies themselves, they've taken some steps. They have a lot of responsibility.
Companies like Facebook.
Like Facebook, Google, etc.
Right.
To do what they can to essentially not enhance this.
How quickly can you act, and what's your responsibility to set the record straight?
The system self-corrected. That shouldn't be the first tweet you see anymore. It should be a USA article the last time I checked.
But you saw this.
USA Today. At lunch I did, yeah. And I also saw the system correct it.
That man's a threat to this country.
They didn't call out Fox News by name. They didn't call out anyone else by name. They said, when it comes to Alex Jones, we need people to scroll and manually find him and manually have to find that video. We're not going to allow that video, if it gets 10 million views, to be on the front of the so-called news carousel.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
It's
Alex Jones.
Michael ZX is back. And just like we're game changing when it comes to politics, when it comes to the economy, we're game changing on supplements. I want to bring you products from the best research out there, from the best labs, the best laboratories, the best scientists that really change lives. Because I want you to get a great effect. I want you to have a great life, be healthy. I want you to see the results so you reorder it and tell your friends and family about it. Let me tell you, fungus is a scourge, mold's a scourge, and you can't battle it with this in your sinus or other areas, but in your gut, the main area you can. Myco ZX, available exclusively. Been out for over 6 months at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. Ladies and gentlemen, I only bring you products I use myself. I only bring you products that have been proven to have dynamite effects. Myco ZX is back in stock right now at InfoWarsLife.com. Secure yours today.